Here is the awesome rare book titled No by Boyd Rice. No. Adverb. 1. Used to express rejection, refusal, disbelief, or disagreement. 2. Not at all. The American Heritage Dictionary. Boyd Rice could be the next John F. Kennedy or Jesus Christ. He can make the lame walk and even heal me. Thank you for being here, Boyd. I hear your next book is going to be the new Bible. Kim Cowley. One of the most visible and loudest ants terribles of the American counterculture and outsider among outsiders. Brian M. Clark. A Boyd Rice biography. Boyd Rice is a bad influence. Der Spiegel. All modern thought is imbued with the idea of thinking the unthinkable, Michel Foucault. All modern thought is based on the belief in the unthinkable. Prologue. As a young man, an older man told me that the most important tasks in the world remained undone, either because they were far too messy, or because no one recognized them. Many lacked the ability to accomplish such tasks, he said, because they lacked the basic perception to recognize that they even existed. For those who did recognize them, the responsibility fell in their laps to do their part to deal with them, if only by speaking up to draw attention to them. But even that was a dangerous undertaking. He was right. If there's a clear problem that everyone is ignoring, there's probably a reason for it. If you are the one pointing it out to all and sundry points it out, you have to expect the worst. When I was younger, I had a friend who had a large family and was in a large house. They had a dog. Almost every day the dog pooped on the carpet in the middle of the living room or on the parquet floor in the hallway. The household rule was that whoever saw the poop first had to clean it up. Consequently, everyone in the family pretended not to see it and simply walked past it. No one wanted to do the dirty work. As a result, the whole house smelled like shit most of the time, and otherwise it was a very nice house. Every stranger who entered the house immediately noticed the foul smell. The residents obviously preferred to tolerate the foul odor rather than do the simple but dirty task of cleaning it up. Is this somehow a parable for modern world? I'm sure I can't tell. Introduction. For several decades I've stood by my contention that the realities of life exist separately from beliefs, that real things or conditions don't per se require belief. Only falsehoods do. If I were to write a book stating my core beliefs, it would either be very thin or perhaps non-existent. Therefore, when explaining my thoughts or describing my observations, it was necessary to discuss the things I don't believe in and why. One bad idea or belief can ruin your whole life. Try to imagine a world where virtually every idea, belief, or value is fundamentally untrue and how living in that world could negatively impact your life. Now recognize the truth, this is the world in which you now live. A world defined by falsehoods. People are full of shit, and the ideals they cling to are little more than flattering conceits. Lies. No big deal. Really, except that these lies constitute the basis of modern democratic civilization. This is not philosophy. One don't believe in philosophy. This is a mere collection of observations. Any given individual's observations are predicated upon what he has seen or experienced, and therefore are personal to a degree. Were he to tell you that such observations were somehow objective, he would be misrepresenting the facts, both to you and himself. What I question is the extent to which any of us truly knows what the facts really are. I mistrust every ideal cherished in Western democratic civilization. The words that make others smile and nod in agreement cause me to recoil. Insofar as I can figure, I seem to have been born a sociopath of sorts. The sort of emotions enjoyed and shared by most of humankind seem to have eluded me. As a younger man I flattered myself that this condition granted me a greater degree of objectivity than most of my fellows could experience. To some degree, This may be true, but it's not the whole truth. These are the musings of an outsider, not an objectivist. Boyd Rice, 15. Even a lie may be the truth. Tiny Tim. The most dangerous lies re not so much things we consciously conspire to spread for sake underscore of dissimulation, as they are things we unconsciously embrace, unknowingly and unwittingly. The lies spread purposely are relatively few in contrast to those perpetuated inadvertently and without intent. The lies people make up for purposes underscore of self-aggrandizement, or to cover their ass, or explain why something couldn't possibly be their fault are fairly obvious, and transparent. They aren't inherently a threat to you because you can often spot them from a block away. The dangerous lies are the ones we never see because they're a kind of cultural wallpaper, or in fact constitute the very foundation of the culture into which we were born. We've grown up amongst them, surrounded by them, a world literally defined by them. Many of these lies are things we imagine to be the fundamental truths that we hold to be self-evident. Of course, any truth that's genuinely self-evident needn't be written about, it would already be universally recognized. Presumably, if, in heat past, honesty, justice, and rationality were the pleasant abstractions to be bandied about, today's ideals are even more nebulous and hostile underscore Ike. Today, man rallies around such notions as equality, MD1B1 Dua 1 ITY and liberty, concepts that are everywhere lauded, yet nowhere demonstrable. Equality. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. George Orwell. Or, life are all truly equal, and we genuinely honor the no one on of equality. Why would we harbor the desire to defile its sanctity by exhibiting selfish/egocentric traits which could be deemed individualistic? Or, more to the point, how can two such mutually exclusive seeming constitute the defining ethic of a worldview, exist side by side as key facets of the popular consciousness? First things first, equality. Have you ever seen a demonstrable example of equality in your entire life? Can it be glimpsed in any dog show or classroom? In any ping pong game or chess match? Of course not. It is a philosophical abstraction. Something nowhere to be found in nature. Is 50 pounds of lead somehow equal to 50 pounds of gold? And if you say yes, what do you even mean by equal? Equality is only a condition esteemed by all those who won magme they don't measure up somehow. The Donald Trumps and Michael Eisners of the world neither revere the concept, nor aspire to it. Semantic hair splitters will inform you that the Founding Fathers' true meaning was not all men are created equal but underscore rather two men are created equal. This implies that subsequent to B1 RTH, our innate equality, was subject to a myriad of influences, choices, and ENB underscore iron mental factors, all of which gave rise to the seeming abyss which exists between us and those who both soar above us and flounder beneath us. Of course, the Founding Fathers were mostly lawyers, gifted bullshit artists. The Constitution, for all its merits, is a document full of flattering conceits which constitute the very bedrock of modern democracy. If equality existed as the natural basis of anything whatsoever, it wouldn't require any lip service whatsoever. It couldn't be so easily countermanded by the unfair actions of those seeking to undermine it. Its self-evident absence in the workings of our world would never need to be so widely bemoaned. The fact that more than 200 years on, our lawmakers are still debating laws to enforce equality, to sanction it, speaks volumes. Realities don't. Boyd Rice, 17. L. I. Require votes or majorities. Nor could votes or majorities affect genuine realities. If the House and Senate voted unanimously to outlaw winter, they'd still have to bundle up in December, and their heating bills would remain the same. Do you imagine that those who run things actually entertain the concept of equality? Do you? Is the CEO of McDonald's equal to the person who manages the store or makes the fries? Of course not. But if you imagine the CEO is an evil rat bastard while his employees are honest, hard-working citizens, the question arises, why is your faith in the concept of equality so seemingly selective? Would you switch places with the Down syndrome guy who bags your groceries at the supermarket, or the turban-wearing fellow who drives your taxi home from the airport? And if not, why not? Because you think you're better than them, have greater skills, more to offer? Maybe so. And what's wrong with that? We exist in a vast hierarchy, and most of us wish to advance upwards within it. We want more, never less, and never, certainly, the same as the next God. We speak of equality, but no one truly desires it. If you've ever really met someone who wants exactly the same as his fellow man, kill him. He's some sort of pod person, not a human being. Peek into any microcosm you wish and look for the presence of equality. You won't find it. Look for evidence of inequality, however, and you'll find it in spades. Pretty sounding lies and abstractions hold great sway over the minds and hearts of mankind. Many are willing to fight and lay down their lives for such fair, unpleasant truths meet resistance because truth lacks the capacity to flatter men's conceits as falsehoods do. Speak of equality and the man in the crowd takes pride in the fact that he is every bit as good as the next God. Mention inequality, and he doesn't want to hear it. It has been stated that true equality between men can only ever be seen in death. Death is the great equalizer. It strips us of rank, status, and power. It renders all those things that separated us in life invalid and irrelevant. Such a harsh proclamation sounds right, but even it is a falsehood. Even death is powerless to confer equality. Some leave behind a prettier corpse than others. Some make great organ donors while others do not. Some repose in lavish ostentatious mausoleums, while others are disposed of in unmarked paupers' graves or potters' fields. 18. No. I. Individuality. We are all unique individuals, no two of us alike. Copy from a television ad for a cell phone plan. On June 6, 2006, an occult sect held a public ceremony in Hollywood, California, 6-6-6. Get it? The media was invited and coverage ensued. The main question asked of participants was, what was the sect really all about? Was it a genuine religion? The answer was almost always identical, as though scripted. Our group, they said, is not a religion or belief, but rather a philosophy of individualists, a clearinghouse for people expressing their individuality. Sounds great in concept, yet why would so many individualists say exactly the same thing, word for word? Stranger yet, those responding to such questions all looked virtually identical. All were dressed in black suits, shirts, and ties. Many had shaved heads and goatees, mimicking the iconoclastic image of their founder. How is it that people so fervently devoted to expressing individuality should come together in such a sea of undifferentiated conformity? Could it be that the concept of individuality is an empty construct, every bit as meaningless as that of equality. The proof of the pudding, as they say, is in the tasting. Once again, individuality exists as an ideal to be aspired to rather than an actuality to be manifested. It is an abstraction, a symbol. Contemporary society adores abstractions and symbols. The concept of individuality is everywhere heralded, yet nowhere to be seen. It is trumpeted the most by those who embody it the least. If a despotic form of rule wanted to keep its populace in line, only the most foolish regime would tell its people, do as we say, or you'll be punished. No, the surest way is to inform them they're free and equal, that they're all unique individuals. Man's bottom line behavior and public proclamations are rarely, if ever, one and the same. People desire individuality, but are desperately in need of identity, and the two are not synonymous. Identity is to be found within the context of the group, never in no man's land, a fortress of solitude, or some remote mountaintop. Identity resides within group thought, group belief, group fashion. It is to be found in fads, sects, and subcultures. Its uniforms, accoutrements, and accessories can be purchased over the counter, because they are mass-produced. Uniqueness plays no role in identity, nor could it. Uniqueness, by its very nature, is its utter antithesis. Boyd Rice, 19. L. So where exactly is the place where ID or overlap? Don't bother to look for it. B entity A_ND_MD1 to ID intersect. An abstraction in the minds of those WH because it does T exist, except as OEs are both and possess neither. 20 no dash. Let EY nation know, whether it wishes us good or ill, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, escort New York. Friend. Oppose any foe to assure the survival and success of liberty. Ion F. Kennedy. No less a figure than Benito Mussolini proclaimed that liberty is a duty, not a right. What the hell did he mean by that? Why did the architect of fascism extol the virtues of liberty? Undoubtedly, Mussolini appreciated the fact that most such ideals are vacuous abstractions, with little or no basis in demonstrable realities. They appeal to the emotions, and subsequently bypass the intellect. If such a class existed, you'd learn this in Demagoguery 101, in the first semester. Thomas Jefferson understood it all 150 years before Mussolini. Everyone desires liberty, yet few seem able to quantify it or define what it means. If you had 10 times more liberty tomorrow than you do today, what might you be able to do then that you can't do now? Would you shoot someone? Smoke in a restaurant? Scream in a library? Liberty is equated with freedom, the freedom of actions. Your freedom to shoot someone obviously interferes with their freedom not to be shot. Therein lays the paradox of liberty. It can never exist in a democracy, despite the fact that it's posited as a cornerstone of that system. One man declares his constitutional right of freedom of speech, while another cites civil rights which guard against hurtful hate speech. Both are equally pathetic. Both expect some outside entity, the government or lawyers, to vouchsafe their rights. If your concept of liberty includes the government or lawyers, lay down and slice your wrists right now. All is lost. ROVORLLs. One Piece. The document I hold in my hand guarantees peace in our time. Chamberlain, upon returning to London after his meeting with Adolf Hitler. If you want peace, create justice, so the bumper stickers preach to us. It might be amended, and to create justice, Exterminate all those shit disturbers, whose very presence detracts from such peace. The only times that peace has ever prevailed have been those in which some despots have been brutal enough or feared enough to impose it. There was no crime in the regime of Vlad the Impaler, unless, of course, you consider the punishments meted out for breaking his rules to be criminal. Folks understood that breaking the law might result in being skewered with a large pointed stick inserted through their ass. Romania was a very safe place to live, so long as one followed the rules to a T. There was peace under the rule of Draco, also a great stickler for law and order. But some of his friends perhaps imagined him a bit overzealous in his means of administering justice. Once, when asked if the death penalty was really an appropriate sentence for the crime of stealing a potato, he answered in the negative. But, he added, if there was something more severe, I'd surely consider it. From his system of justice is derived our modern term draconian. Apart from these few isolated historical footnotes, peace has remained an abstract ideal rather than a tangible reality. Wars, genocide, massacres, pogroms, conflict, insurrections, rebellions, assassinations, slaughters, holocausts, etc., have perennially been the order of the day. Never peace. Our mania for peace came to a boil in the 60s when our youth were sent off to fight and die in a place we'd never heard of, in a war we never fully understood, halfway around the world. All that most people knew of this war was the death toll, cited alongside football scores on the nightly news. The statistics, the numbers, were all abstractions to most viewers, unless you were young and had a favorite cousin shipped there. My favorite cousin, Tom, came back, but not before contracting some waterborne virus predicted to end his life a decade or two early. The compulsion for peace, as a rallying concept, was a reaction to a very real war, and undoubtedly not an illogical reaction. The continuing, ongoing demand for peace on the part of the counterculture, or culture at large, has no basis in logic, considering the current state of affairs in the world, or its known history going back over millennia. Prior to World War I, the League of Nations published a volume, 22 No. BL. It put this question to the best. ID Peace Pos 1E0H. Called LS War. The most well-known thinkers of the 2T and Bright T of its day, is 11 Eleanor Roosevelt, Albert Einstein, Albert W. Einstein Ind. Century, 1. The responses it received were G. Ome. Schweit ERNs. Man can accomplish anything he sets his MMD to. Optimistic. Certum Y daily desires peace, and races, and Nat 10 NS can work. The world Moses 30 B. G. It about. Universal brotherhood was. And M. Han to RMD. Together. L. The peaceable kingdom was at bad. Indeed with 111_re1. I feel it tome, a solitary voice of dissent. Yet even WNHMTHSHG. Take up putting the question to Oswald. The D made TE miss.F. Stood out. Why I came back a resounding no. Event. Spengler. Spengler_SRPY he reasoned imposing it as some false. Most men truly dis. Peace, I'm oscibilate. However many intelligent condition would constitute, and EOE might desire it, they would always be. And supposedly enlightened, ad A are less and wanted far more. Those who, outnumbered by those W had they wanted or felt they deserved. Felt no compunction MTKLMGW this he reasoned, is how it always has. NS of force and V10 ins. Byronia. Ben. and shall remit.nd that however strong the will to peace might os well d further up me almost especially by those who fail, be it will never be shared by fth ladder while another sits atop hn a low rung oe, intensely that teyaeo he much heralded peaceful coexistence, but it they have no desulve for his position in order to claim it as thelf. Rather to underscore the top ars philosophy, as it is basic psychology, real. Own. This is not so much TDS warmongers label the F and wages war. OA. Man speaks O peace underscore. A phrase that certainly has a MCE. CE keeping M1 SS1 odds. Actions SP. And things remain the same, now as ever. Ring to it. But call it what UW1. DTDY and tomorrow. The same yester I, OA. DD done a pessimist. Spengler was. Tiefter all one sadden. Spengler was no ATTH. GS to get better or worse. Right. And what say you? Do you expect M? Boyd Rice, 23. Harmony. You believe that easily which you hope for earnestly. Terence. Someone once asked why can't we all just get along? Simple, because we hate each other. Or at least a good many of us intensely mistrust and resent one another. The poor hate the rich. A lot of blacks will tell you most WHIES are racists. A lot of women feel that males are a bunch of mean, unfair brutes. The British are disdainful of the Irish, and vice versa. The French dislike Germans, who in turn look down their nose at Italians. And everyone in the world hates France.